How's it going, guys? It's Cole from See Through Panel showing off That Texas Blood Volume 1 by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, published by Image Comics, retailing for $10 US for a trade paperback that is 5 issues long. As always, I'm not going to be spoiling anything with my words, but I will be flipping through the book, just kind of willy-nilly, not looking at what I'm showing. So if you're worried about being visually spoiled, maybe read the book, come back after, we can talk about it. Other than that, I'm just going to be talking about what I liked, didn't like, the general plot, but no real spoilers. So let's get into it. This is written by Chris Condon, art by Jacob Phillips. One of them did the lettering because there's no other credit here. I'm pretty sure Jacob Phillips is coloring himself, so that's a full art for Jacob Phillips. Not sure if Phillips or Condon is lettering. And I want to get the main point out of the way. Jacob Phillips probably doesn't want to be compared to his dad, Sean Phillips, who is one of my favorite artists working in comics and has a partnership with Ed Brubaker that is one of the most legendary to ever happen in the industry. And so I don't want to compare him to Sean Phillips, but my brain really does. So it's going to happen. He looks visually like Sean Phillips. He's been coloring his dad's work for a while, and he colors his own work in a very similar way, which I adore, by the way. Sean Phillips has never looked better than when he's being colored by Jacob Phillips. But there are a lot of lines to draw parallels with, and Chris Condon here has crafted a Southern crime story that could quite easily fit into an arc of Criminal. I know Criminal is kind of more of like a noir city vibe, but just a genre-shifted Criminal is kind of what my brain thinks this is. And so I think of Jacob as Sean and Chris Condon as Ed Brubaker, and with a few rough edges, I think that this story and this partnership, from what I've read in these 5 issues, is going to be on the level of Brubaker and Phillips. They are phenomenal. They are wholly original while being cut from the same cloth as the original aforementioned partnership. And anything I say that compares them to those two, to Brubaker and Phillips, is a compliment and is not meant to be a detraction, you know. It's just that my brain just cannot help but make those connections. And I don't think Jacob Phillips wants to distance himself that much from his dad, because he is so in the pocket where his dad is in terms of genre, art style, mood. His layouts can get a little bit different, and sometimes his like acting gets a little different, but it is there. It is the Phillips style now, I think. But anyway, this is a book about a sheriff in a small town in Texas. He's well known. He's been doing the job for years. He knows everyone by name. First issue is just a cold opener to introduce us to the town. One shot, perfect little introduction to put us in the world, let us know the characters, some backstory, some nightmares, some dreams, some aspirations, some regrets. All in all, very down to earth. Obviously a crime book, so you're going to have some violence and some sadness, but you're also going to have some super compelling dialogue. And a lot of brutal silent panels with a lot of really great acting from Jacob Phillips here. Then we get into a 4-issue arc, which encompasses 4 of the 5 issues in this trade, that is a guy who escaped from bad place in life, has to return to bad place, and gets caught by his old ghosts and his old habits. It's that trope. It's once again, it's very Criminal. If this reminds me a lot of some of the Criminal arcs from the original Criminal series, and it has kind of that same tone where like you just know it's going to end tragically. And I called not the ending, but kind of the twist from a mile away. But even then, like all good twists, it doesn't affect the impact it has on the story. Like what the twist is really about is the fallout of the twist, and that I did not predict. I think it was telegraphed a little much, but also there's really nothing lost. I think it was honestly meant to be telegraphed as much as it was. I'm sure 99% of readers noticed what I noticed. But yeah, the real heart of the story comes from the character interactions, the perceived history that this town has and everyone in it has with each other that we're just now learning about. There's references to the one-shot inside this arc, so you know it's all happening in the same timeline, although I do believe we jump back to the past later in the series with a younger Sheriff Joe. Yeah, and it's very modern, but it's modern small town Texas. So it has all the trappings of almost like a Western with modern technology, where you can just drive a guy into the desert and maybe kill him there, and that would be fine. That would not fly in Criminal because they're in the middle of basically New York City. You can't just, well, that happens a lot in Criminal. Never mind. But all in all, I really love this story. Like with Sean Phillips, I don't find myself when I make these videos like holding up the page to the camera because like to show off the really detailed line work and the art that I love. Because while I do love this art, it's functional over everything else. It tells the story in a really amazing, clear, fast way. And that's always been how Sean Phillips works. And in my mind, that's how Jacob Phillips works too. I think the art is beautiful. I love these little marks he's making with the coloring. I think it's great. It's extremely digital, but it just sets the tone super well with all these like scratchy marks all over the page of color. And it's really nice. This, I think, is gorgeous. So this is not really like it's more of a dream panel. So you're not going to get a lot of that. But yeah, it is just a wonderful book. And Chris Condon's a fantastic writer. This is one of the first things he wrote that I ever heard of, probably 4 years ago, maybe longer. And so this is his early work. Now he's like writing at the big two. So it's well known that he's a good writer, but this is some really early work from him. And I think he does a great job. If this is his breakthrough book and he's already this good at dialogue and like plot structure and writing a satisfying emotional narrative, I think he's doing a great job. I loved the red and blue switch up of the art here. The coloring on this book is phenomenal. Probably the strongest element in my mind. Although I do love the story. It hit just like a fantastic crime book should. Just a lot of right before the gut punch happens, you see it coming, but it's too late. You get really sad. You get upset. A lot of just people going through stuff that people should not have to go through and doing things that people shouldn't do. It's just, it's a gritty look at humanity anytime you read a crime book like this. But yeah, I've gushed about this long enough. That Texas Blood Volume 1, Chris Condon, Jacob Phillips. Adore it. Going to be ordering Volumes 2 and 3, and then the Enfield Gang Massacre, because that's like a historic Western spin-off of this series. But I've yet to get there, so really enjoy this. If you have any recommendations that Chris Condon has done before or since this book, I would love to know. I know he just got announced on, I think DC, on a DC book, which is crazy, but I would love to know any, really good indie work from Chris Condon. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace.